He was weak. She walked away. Now she's begging him to save her life. Frost and betrayal. The light from Thea Monroe's computer screen cast a pale blue glow across her face as she worked through the encrypted files. 3 in the morning, and the cybersecurity division of the Strategic Intelligence Command was deserted except for her, the way she preferred it. Fewer distractions, fewer questions about why the agency's top digital forensics expert was pulling yet another all-nighter. She rubbed her tired eyes and took another sip of cold coffee. The surveillance footage from Operation Kingfisher had been troubling her for weeks. Something wasn't right about the mission parameters, about the intel that had sent 6 agents into that Serbian warehouse. Only 5 had returned. Her phone vibrated against the desk. A text from Roman. Still working. Some of us mere mortals need sleep. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Roman Blackwood had a way of doing that, making her smile when she'd forgotten how. They'd been partners for 3 years, lovers for 8 months. He was everything she wasn't. Impulsive where she was methodical, charming where she was reserved, a field operative who lived in the moment while she dissected patterns in data. Almost done, she texted back. Breakfast tomorrow. It's already tomorrow. But yes, my place, 8 a.m. I'll make those blueberry pancakes you pretend not to love. Thea set her phone down, the warmth of the message lingering. Then she returned to the surveillance feeds and froze. There, at timestamp 23:47:16, a shadow moved across the screen. She enhanced the image, her heart suddenly racing. A figure in tactical gear, moving through the warehouse's east corridor, exactly where the ambush had occurred. She checked the mission logs. No agent had been assigned to that section. She ran facial recognition. The match appeared with a confidence rating of 97.6%. Roman Blackwood. But Roman had been assigned to the west entrance. His official report stated he had never entered the east corridor. The report that she had personally verified, using thermal imaging data from his tactical gear. Data that, she now realized, could have been falsified. With trembling fingers, she opened another file, communications logs from the operation. There it was, an encrypted transmission sent from the east corridor at 23:49:04, exactly 2 minutes after Roman appeared on the camera. The transmission had been sent to an IP address outside Sci-fi's secure network. Thea felt ill. She'd been in intelligence long enough to recognize what this looked like. A betrayal, a leak, a double agent. Her first instinct was to call Roman immediately, to demand an explanation, to give him the chance to tell her there was some mistake. But years of training overrode that impulse. If Roman was compromised, alerting him would only give him time to cover his tracks, or worse, to disappear. For 3 days, she gathered evidence. She found more inconsistencies in Roman's mission reports, more unexplained communications, more moments when his location didn't match official records. With each discovery, the knot in her stomach tightened. With each piece of evidence, her heart broke a little more. On the 4th day, she walked into Director Vance's office and laid out everything she had found. "You understand what you're doing, Agent Monroe?" Director Vance asked, his steel-gray eyes studying her face. "Blackwood is one of our best field operatives, and he's your partner." "He's more than that," Thea admitted, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "But my loyalty is to this agency and to this country. The evidence speaks for itself." Director Vance nodded, his expression grave. "I've had suspicions about Agent Blackwood for some time. You've done the right thing, Monroe. We'll handle this with absolute discretion." That night, Thea sat alone in her apartment, a glass of untouched whiskey on the coffee table before her. She had done her duty. She had followed protocol. She had protected the agency from a security breach. So why did she feel like she was drowning? Her phone rang. Roman. She stared at his name on the screen, her finger hovering over the answer button. But what could she say to him now? What lies would she have to tell? It was better this way. Cleaner. Professional. She let the call go to voicemail. At 5:17 the next morning, Roman Blackwood was taken into custody by Sci-fi's internal security team. By 6:30, he had been transferred to a high-security detention facility outside of Washington. By noon, all traces of his existence had been scrubbed from the agency's public records. Thea watched it all happen from behind her computer screen, her face a mask of professional detachment. When Jensen from Tactical asked where Roman was, she said he'd been reassigned. When Natalie from Cryptography mentioned she tried to reach him, Thea changed the subject. She buried herself in work, took on additional cases, volunteered for weekend shifts, anything to keep her mind occupied, to exhaust herself enough that she might actually sleep at night without dreaming of Roman's face. 6 months passed. Roman's name became a whisper in the hallways, then not even that. Life at SIC continued. Missions were planned, executed, analyzed. Reports were filed. New recruits arrived. The machinery of intelligence ground on. Thea was running an analysis on a suspected terrorist cell in Myanmar when she found it. An anomaly in the data stream. A recurring pattern in communications that shouldn't have been there. She traced it back through layers of encryption, each breakthrough leading to more questions. Until finally, at 2:43 a.m. on a Tuesday, she found herself staring at a ghost. Operation Kingfisher, the same operation that had led to Roman's arrest. But this version of the files was different, subtly altered, with timestamps shifted and communications rerouted. And at the center of it all was not Roman's digital signature, but another's. Director Elliot Vance. Thea's blood ran cold. She worked through the night, dismantling the elaborate web of falsified evidence. By dawn, she knew the truth. Roman had been set up. The transmissions attributed to him had been planted. The security footage had been doctored, expertly, but not perfectly. Not perfectly enough to fool her, not once she knew what to look for. But why? Why would the director of Sci-fi frame one of his own agents? The answer came 3 days later, when Thea hacked into Vance's private server. What she found there made her physically ill. Operation Kingfisher hadn't been a standard intelligence-gathering mission. It had been part of something much larger. A systematic effort to eliminate agents who might interfere with Vance's true agenda. Vance was orchestrating a silent coup within the agency, replacing key personnel with loyalists, redirecting resources to operations that served his private interests rather than national security. And Roman, principled by the book Roman, had unknowingly gotten too close to the truth. And she had been the perfect tool to remove him. Thea, the dedicated analyst. Thea, whose integrity was beyond question. Thea, who could be counted on to do the right thing if she believed her partner had betrayed their country. Thea, who had sent the man she loved to rot in a cell for a crime he didn't commit. She sat back in her chair, her mind racing. She had to find a way to reach Roman, to tell him the truth. But Vance would be watching her. One wrong move, and she would join Roman in detention. Or worse. As if on cue, her secure line rang. The caller ID displayed a number she didn't recognize. With hesitation, she answered. Monroe. Her voice was steady, betraying none of the turmoil inside. Agent Monroe. Director Vance's voice was warm, collegial. I've been reviewing your recent work. Impressive as always. In fact, I have a special assignment that requires your particular expertise. Are you available to meet in my office at 800 tomorrow? Thea's pulse quickened. Had he discovered that she knew? Was this a trap? Of course, sir, she replied, her training kicking in. I'll be there. Excellent. There was a pause, almost imperceptible. And Thea, you've been putting in a lot of hours lately. Make sure you're getting enough rest. We need our best people at their best. The line went dead. Thea sat motionless, the threat beneath his concern crystal clear. Time was running out. Vance was moving forward with whatever he had planned, and she was now on his radar. She needed to act, and quickly. She reached for her secure tablet and began typing a message to the one person who might help her reach Roman. Jensen, the head of the tactical team that had arrested him. Jensen, who had once been Roman's closest friend. Jensen, who had looked at her with barely disguised contempt ever since Roman's disappearance. I know the truth about Roman. He was framed. I can prove it. But I need your help to reach him before Vance realizes what I've discovered. Her finger hovered over the send button. Once she pressed it, there would be no going back. She would be committing treason in the eyes of the agency. She would be burning every bridge she had carefully built over her career. But Roman was innocent, and he was in a cell because of her. Thea pressed send. Now all she could do was wait and prepare herself to face the man whose life she had destroyed. The man she had failed when he needed her most. The man who, if he had any sense at all, would never forgive her. Redemption in shadows. The detention facility loomed before Thea, a concrete monolith against the twilight sky. Jensen had come through with access codes and a security badge that identified her as Dr. Laura Winters, psychological evaluator. Her hair was pulled back severely, glasses perched on her nose, a disguise just convincing enough to get her past the first 2 checkpoints. Prisoner 37,529 has been difficult, the guard explained as he led her down a sterile corridor, uncooperative with evaluations. Director Vance specifically requested you try a different approach. Thea nodded, clutching her tablet. The weight of the loaded flash drive inside her jacket pocket felt like a boulder. Standard protocol, the guard continued. No physical contact with the prisoner. Emergency button under the table if needed. Cameras are on a 30-second loop for privacy during psychological evaluation. He opened a reinforced door, revealing a small room with a metal table bolted to the floor. 2 chairs. One-way glass along one wall. I'll bring him in. Alone, Thea took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. What would she say to him? How could any words possibly? The door opened again, and there was Roman. 6 months had changed him. He'd lost weight, his once muscular frame leaner, harder. His dark hair was longer now, brushing against the collar of his prison jumpsuit. But it was his eyes that struck her most. Those warm brown eyes that had once looked at her with such tenderness, now cold, distant, dead. He didn't react when he saw her. No surprise, no anger, nothing. He simply sat in the chair across from her, his cuffed hands resting on the table. The guard secured his restraints to a metal loop on the table. 30 minutes, Dr. Winters. When the door closed, they sat in silence. Roman's eyes never left her face, but he didn't speak, didn't move. The cameras are on a loop, Thea said quietly. We have 30 seconds of privacy every 3 minutes. Beginning now. She placed her tablet on the table, angled so the cameras couldn't see the screen. With practiced movements, she inserted the flash drive. I know you were framed, she whispered urgently. Vance set you up. I have proof. Roman's expression didn't change. The 30 seconds ended. How have you been adapting to your situation? She asked loudly for the benefit of anyone listening. Roman leaned back in his chair. Is this the part where I'm supposed to break down and confess, Agent Monroe? Tell you all my secret contacts. The damage I've done. His voice was raspy from disuse, but the cold fury in it was unmistakable. I'm trying to help you, she said, maintaining her professional facade. Like you helped me 6 months ago. A bitter smile twisted his lips. I've had a lot of time to think about that day. About how quickly you believed the worst of me. The cameras looped again. Roman, please, she whispered desperately. Vance is planning something. I don't know what yet, but it's happening soon. He's been eliminating anyone who might stand in his way. And you came to me. His whisper was harsh. The man you threw away like garbage. I came to the only person I trust. The cameras came back online. Roman's laugh was hollow. Trust, that's rich, coming from you. For the next 20 minutes, they performed this dance, loud accusations for their audience, desperate whispers during the brief windows of privacy. Thea explained what she had discovered, how Vance had manipulated her, used her analytical mind, and her dedication to protocol against both of them. "Even if what you're saying is true," Roman said during their final private window, "why would I help you? Why would I risk what little life I have left?" "Because innocent people will die if we don't stop him," Thea replied. "And because you're not the kind of man who can sit by and let that happen, even if it means helping the woman who betrayed you." The door opened. Their time was up. "I'll need to schedule another session," Thea told the guard. "Patient 37,529 shows signs of paranoid delusion that require further evaluation." Roman's eyes met hers as he was led away. In them, she saw something flicker, not forgiveness, not yet, but a spark of the man she had known, the man who had always put duty above personal feelings. It was enough. It had to be. 3 days later, alarms blared throughout the detention facility. Prisoner 37,529 had escaped during transfer to medical evaluation, leaving 2 guards unconscious but alive. Security footage showed him fleeing the compound on foot, heading west into the dense forest that surrounded the facility. What the footage didn't show was Dr. Laura Winters slipping him a key card during their second session, or the coordinates Thea had whispered to him, the location of a safe house where she would be waiting, or the fact that his escape was exactly what Director Vance would expect, and exactly what they needed him to believe. Thea paced the small cabin nestled in the Appalachian foothills, checking her watch for the dozenth time. Roman should have arrived hours ago. Had something gone wrong? Had he decided not to come? Had he? The door opened. Roman stood on the threshold, rain-soaked and exhausted. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Then he stepped inside, closed the door behind him. "You look like hell," she said softly. 6 months in a hole will do that." He moved past her, surveying the cabin with a professional eye. "We have maybe 48 hours before they track me here. Less if Vance puts his best people on it." "I know." Thea gestured to the laptop open on the rustic dining table. "That's why we need to move quickly. I've accessed Vance's personal server, but I haven't been able to decrypt his latest communications. I need your help." Roman looked at her sharply. "My help? With decryption? That's your specialty, not mine." "Not your technical help," she admitted. "I need your memory. The decryption key is related to Operation Kingfisher, something only the agents on the ground would know. Something you would know." Understanding dawned on his face. "The mission that got me locked up." "Yes." Roman sat at the table, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten as he studied the screen. "What have you tried?" "Everything I could think of. Locations, names, dates." For hours they worked side by side, falling into a familiar rhythm despite the tension between them. Roman provided details from the ground operation. Thea translated them into potential decryption keys. They argued, theorized, tried dozens of approaches. And then, at 3:17 am, they broke through. "My God," Thea whispered as the files populated her screen. "It's worse than I thought." Roman leaned closer, his shoulder brushing hers. "What am I looking at?" "Operation Helix. It's a complete restructuring of the intelligence community. Vance has planted loyalists in key positions across all agencies. NSA, CIA, FBI, Homeland Security." Her voice shook. "And tomorrow night, he's meeting with the remaining directors who aren't under his influence. It's an ambush. He's going to eliminate them all in one stroke, creating a power vacuum that only he can fill," Roman finished. "With no one left to oppose him, he'd have unprecedented control over the entire intelligence apparatus. We have to stop him." Thea turned to face him. "But we can't do it alone. We need proof that will stand up to scrutiny. Evidence that can't be buried or explained away." "We need to be at that meeting," Roman said. "Record everything. Transmit it directly to the Joint Chiefs, the Attorney General, anyone outside Vance's influence. It's at the Odyssey Hotel tomorrow night. Presidential suite." Thea pulled up the floor plans. Heavy security. Vance's personal team. People who worked with me, Roman noted, who know my tactics, and who think you're a traitor on the run. Thea met his eyes. They'll shoot to kill if they see you. Roman's face hardened. I'll take that chance. We'll take that chance, she corrected him. He studied her for a long moment. Why are you doing this, Thea? Really, you had a perfect record, a promising career. You could have walked away, pretended you never found the truth. Is that what you think of me? She asked quietly. That I could live with myself knowing what I'd done to you. That I could serve a man like Vance. You did for 6 months. The words hit her like a physical blow. Yes, I did, because I believed what he wanted me to believe. Because I was. Her voice caught. Because I was weak. I didn't trust what I knew about you. I trusted the evidence instead. Roman's expression softened almost imperceptibly. You were doing your job. My job, she repeated bitterly. My job cost you 6 months of your life. My job nearly got you killed. My job saved countless lives, he interrupted. Before all this, before Vance, you and I both did what we believed was right. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something. A foundation they could build on if they survived the next 24 hours. By nightfall the following day, they were in position. Thea, disguised as hotel staff, had planted surveillance equipment in the presidential suite earlier that afternoon. Now she waited in a service corridor, monitoring feeds on her tablet, guiding Roman through her earpiece as he navigated the hotel's security. 2 guards at the north elevator, she murmured. Take the service lift instead. 3rd floor, then maintenance tunnels to the penthouse level. Roman's voice was calm in her ear. On my way. Status on Vance. Still in Melody, greeting Director Hammond of the NSA. 4 more directors to arrive. The plan was simple, if desperate. Get into position before the meeting began, record Vance's treasonous proposal, and transmit it to multiple secure servers before his team could stop them. With solid evidence and multiple intelligence directors as witnesses, not even Vance could cover it up. I'm on the penthouse level, Roman reported. Where's his security team? Thea switched camera feeds. 2 inside the suite, 2 in the hallway outside, 2 more on the fire stairs. Impossible to avoid them all, Roman said grimly. You don't have to. Thea took a deep breath. I'm creating a diversion. When the hallway guards move, you'll have 12 seconds to reach the maintenance panel outside the presidential suite. Thea, don't. But she had already muted her mic. Setting down her tablet, she straightened her hotel uniform and pushed a room service cart into the main hallway. As soon as the guard spotted her, she staged a clumsy collision with a potted plant, sending glasses and silverware crashing to the floor. I'm so sorry, she exclaimed, making as much noise as possible. My first day. They'll fire me for sure. As expected, the guards moved toward her, irritated by the disruption but not suspicious. Through her earpiece, she heard Roman's quiet acknowledgement that he'd reached the maintenance panel. Almost there, he whispered. Just need to. Wait. Something's wrong. Thea felt a chill. What is it? The suite is empty. No one's here yet. Before she could process this, rough hands grabbed her from behind. A familiar voice spoke close to her ear. Agent Monroe. So good of you to join us. Director Vance. She was marched into the presidential suite at gunpoint, where she found Roman already kneeling on the floor, hands behind his head, surrounded by Vance's security team. Touching reunion, Vance said, his gray eyes cold as he looked between them. I must admit, I underestimated your emotional attachment, Agent Monroe. It made you predictable. You knew, Thea realized, that you discovered the truth, that you tried to free Agent Blackwood. Vance smiled thinly. Of course I knew. I've been watching you for months. Your late nights, your unauthorized searches, your message to Agent Jensen, who, it may interest you to know, has been working for me from the beginning. Roman's eyes met Thea's across the room. In them, she saw not accusation but resolve. "The real question," Vance continued, "is what to do with you both. A second disappearance would raise questions, even for someone of my influence, but perhaps a tragic murder-suicide. The disgraced agent escaped from custody, taking revenge on the woman who betrayed him before ending his own life." He sighed theatrically. "Messy, but effective." "You won't get away with this," Roman said, his voice steady. "Too many people are already watching. Too many questions being asked." "By whom?" Vance laughed. "Your friends at the agency. They believe you're a traitor. The Oversight Committee. I handpicked half its members." "Not by them," Thea said quietly. "By the people who received our evidence an hour ago." Vance's smile faltered. "What are you talking about? Did you really think we'd wait until the meeting to transmit what we found?" She straightened, meeting his gaze. "Every file, every communication, every piece of evidence proving your conspiracy. It's already been sent to the Joint Chiefs, the Attorney General, and every news outlet in the country." "You're bluffing," Vance said, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. "Am I?" Thea nodded toward the television mounted on the wall. "Turn it on. See for yourself." One of the guards looked to Vance for permission. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded. The screen flickered to life, showing a breaking news alert. The anchor's voice filled the suite. "Explosive allegations against Strategic Intelligence Command Director Elliot Vance, accused of orchestrating a conspiracy to seize control of multiple intelligence agencies. Documents released to the press appear to show." Vance's face contorted with rage. He raised his gun, pointing it directly at Thea's head. "You." Roman moved with the speed that had made him legendary within the agency. In one fluid motion, he disarmed the guard nearest him and launched himself at Vance. The director fired, the bullet grazing Roman's shoulder, but momentum carried him forward. They crashed to the floor together.